Alrighty, I think we are going to go ahead and get started. We have a lot of people registered and a lot of people have joined. I'm so excited about that. My name is Amy Harrington. I'm VP of Clinical Advancement and Training at Glacial Skin by R2 Technologies. And I'm so thrilled to have all of you with us today. This is a fantastic showing. We've had such an incredible response. I truly appreciate each of you for taking time out of your day to be here with us. We have a really exciting mix of attendees. To our current customers, thank you for your loyalty and continued support of Glacial Skin. To our prospective clients, we're thrilled to have you with us and look forward to the opportunity to earn your business. And to those of you who are here simply to learn, you're truly speaking my language of being dedicated to learn. So I'm excited to share this knowledge with you and, of course, Savanna's insights with all of you. So today we're diving into a topic that affects all of us. Whether we realize it or not, it does. It affects all of us. It's inflammation. It's something our bodies do naturally. And but the big question is it a friend or is it a foe? So today we're going to talk a lot about uncovering what inflammation really is and how it can impact skin aging if it's left untreated or unchecked. We're going to explore the science behind chronic low-grade inflammation, and that is also actually termed inflammaging. Not a new term, it's been around for many, many years, but that low-grade inflammation, that's called inflammaging. You'll also learn why maintaining a balanced and healthy lifestyle is the secret to keeping your skin healthy and youthful. And of course, the star of the show, besides Savanna, how we can use cold therapy as an effective tool to combat skin inflammation or inflammaging. So the highlight of today's session, of course, is going to be our Glacial Ambassador, Savanna Boda, who will be sharing how she's successfully incorporated the Glacial Skin devices into her thriving practice. Her expertise and insights are really what we're all here for. So get ready for a really informative session. We're going to get started. So at Glacial Skin by R2 Technologies, we embrace the slogan, better skin from within. You can see it on this opening slide, and it's more than just a phrase. It's kind of a guiding principle for us here at R2. So let me ask you this, and feel free to engage in the chat box. All of you as guests may not be able to see other people's responses, but we as the hosts and everybody behind the scenes here, we can see your responses. So feel free to engage that way. So let me ask you, what does it mean when I say better skin from within? Take a moment and reflect on that question. Feel free to type your thoughts in the chat, jot them down, or just keep them in mind, because we're going to revisit this at the end of my session. I'm just very curious to see if your perspective shifts after we dive into the interesting science behind inflammation, and of course, learn about the tools that we use to treat inflammation and to create an impact that you can actually see. So let's take a moment to check in with your skin. What is your skin's mood today? And again, feel free to chat in the chat box. Is it feeling happy, calm, maybe a little irritated, tired, puffy? So think about when you woke up this morning, what did you see in the mirror? Did it reflect how your skin's mood is? Did you see tired? Did you see irritated? Maybe you saw some puffiness, some redness, some dehydration. And of course, we have a lot of trained clinicians on the line, so you can see what your skin is reflecting and your mood. So here's this thing. Our skin's mood is a reflection of really what's happening beneath the surface. Everything that we do in our daily lives, whether it's what we eat, how much we sleep, even the stress that we carry in our bodies, it affects every part of our body. And inflammation, it doesn't just target one area. No, it's not nice like that. It impacts our joints, it impacts our gut, and yes, it does impact our skin. And so when your skin feels irritated or looks puffy, it's kind of a signal from the outside world, our external world, this inflammatory world we live in. The pollution, the stress, the poor diet, that's triggered the inflammatory response. And it's telling us that it may be a little bit unbalanced or out of control. So your skin's mood can be linked to low-grade inflammation. I kind of like to think of it like a slow smoldering fire beneath the surface or beneath the skin, and it's simmering, and that simmer is what's slowly aging our skin, even when we don't realize it. So all the things that we're exposed to in our inflammatory worlds, like I said, the diet, the dehydration, the sun exposure, the stress, the blue light, we're in front of our computers right now, or we're looking at our phones. All of that is leading to triggers of inflammation. So today we're going to unpack how these extrinsic factors cause that slow smoldering simmer that's underneath that's aging our skin. Okay. So inflammation doesn't just age the skin or affect just the skin. It can actually wreak havoc throughout the entire body. In fact, it's at the root cause of almost all of our chronic health conditions. So things that you wouldn't even think about. This actually surprised me too when I was doing this research. So heart disease, diabetes, autoimmune disorders, depression, Alzheimer's, allergies. So all of those things are caused by inflammation in our bodies. Fun fact, chronic inflammation or chronic inflammatory diseases have actually been identified as the leading cause of death worldwide. So while inflammation, it initially serves a purpose in our bodies, it's a protective response. But when it's left uncontrolled or untreated, it kind of becomes a silent driver of disease. It ages us. It causes chronic health problems. And the key to preventing or managing these issues is controlling the inflammation early. So before it causes all that widespread damage. Every organ in our body is impacted differently by inflammation. So with specific cells and there's specific mutations that drive this damage. So for example, what we're all here to learn about today, skin. When we talk about skin inflammation and skin damage, inflammation targets critical cells like melanocytes that make melanin. Keratinocytes are skin cells. The fibroblasts, the moisture, right? Those cells are responsible for maintaining all of our overall skin health. So when these cells are damaged, the visible signs of the aging that we see, it starts to appear. So the wrinkles, the loss of elasticity, the pigmentation changes, and even conditions like eczema and acne are triggered by this inflammation process. So by understanding how the inflammation works in the body, we can certainly take steps to control it and protect our overall health, our vitality, and our appearance. So what I want to know is it a friend or is it a foe? So far we've focused on mostly severe and negative information about inflammation, right? And with good reason. So of course, all of our training, if we're for any of the clinicians on the line, when we learn about inflammation, we learn that it's associated with injury and disease. When I went to nursing school, inflammation, bad. When you talk about injury and disease. So most of us picture it as those true clinical signs of inflammation, which are heat, pain, redness, injury. It's often, when I read about it, I often hear it referred to as kind of like the burning fire in our bodies. So all of that sounds really bad. But what I want to know is it always bad? Can inflammation ever be good? So the answer is, it depends. Inflammation is actually your body's natural defense system. It's part of our immune system. So when it works properly, it's like your body's internal fire department. It's like the fire department that's rushing in to fight infection or repair damage. So think of a sprained ankle or a sore throat. Those classic signs of inflammation, the pain, the heat, the redness, the swelling, all of those things are actually the body's response to helping your body heal. They're good. Without it, we'd never actually recover from injury or infection. So in these cases, inflammation is that healing force. It's very good. But here's the catch. When inflammation triggers, when the alarm is triggering inflammation in our body and it doesn't switch off, again, that's kind of where the chronic part comes in. That's when inflammation becomes a problem. So we get this low-grade inflammation that doesn't leave. It sticks around. It doesn't go away. And so the longer that sticks around, the more damage it can cause to the healthy tissue. So long after the initial issue, like let's say a toxin or an injury or an infection, so long after that has gone, the inflammation is still present and it starts to cause damage. And that's where we see this inflammaging. And that's a major contributor to skin aging. So again, like I use a lot of analogies. So you're going to hear a lot of them today, but the good news is that there are a lot of analogies that patients that you're talking to, clients, guests, they can actually relate to some of these analogies. So education by analogies. So it's like that fire that keeps smoldering, that slow damaging that you're creating in your body. You don't even realize it at first. You don't see the effects right away, but the damage is happening beneath the surface. So why is inflammation causing all this damage when it's supposed to be a good thing? Because again, when it sticks around too long, it starts affecting the healthy tissue. The analogy I like to use here is like, okay, the fire department has responded. The firemen have come and put out the fire, but they left their fire hose behind and the fire hose is on high. And so now they've left the scene, right? They took care of the initial injury, but now they're soaking everything and causing all this water damage instead of repair. So over time, all of that low-level inflammation, it kind of chips away at our body's systems. It can damage blood vessels, heart disease. It can disrupt gut health, inflammatory bowel disease. So what we see every day with our work is it breaks down collagen in the skin. It leads to visible signs of aging. And we're going to dive deeper into that because I know that that's what you guys are all interested in. So there are many factors that can lead to inflammation in our bodies, and actually keep feeding that smoldering fire. Oh, there we go. So some people have a genetic predisposition for it, which means that their genes are actually making them more susceptible to the triggers that we have in our external outside world. Diet plays a really big role. So processed foods, sugars, saturated fat, that can all exacerbate the inflammation in our body and keep kind of feeding that fire. Stress is another critical factor. When we're stressed, our bodies actually release hormones that trigger inflammation. We can actually change gene expression with stress alone in our bodies. So chronic stress combined with bad lifestyle choices like low physical activity, obesity, or a high amount of fat cells that are creating hormones that are contributing. It's all connected. Disrupted sleep, tobacco use. These things can all make inflammation worse over time. So other contributors, you might not like this one, but other contributors include skincare products. Yes, the ones that are too aggressive and are disrupting our skin barrier or causing redness and causing inflammation can actually make the issue worse. Environmental factors, things like allergies. Our gut health, we know that from science, lots of data out there that says that our gut health and that bacteria is very much linked to our skin microbiome. And even hormonal fluctuations. All of this can impact our skin's inflammatory response. So you're probably asking me, why is there a burnt toast on her screen? I want to give you one more analogy, and this is to really drive the point home about inflammation. So imagine your skin is like a piece of toast. When you toast the bread perfectly, it turns golden and delicious. But if you leave it exposed to heat, if you leave it exposed to heat too long, it can burn, right? And so we don't see a fire in our toaster. We're not seeing the burning right away. It's kind of a slow progression. And over time, the damage becomes very clear and we can see it on the toast. So chronic inflammation kind of I like to think of like it kind of works in the same way. At first, it's very subtle. There's no obvious fire. But if it's left unchecked or untreated, that low level of inflammation slowly damages your skin, and it eventually leads to wrinkles, loss of elasticity, dryness, redness, puffiness, all those things that our patients come in saying, can you help me with this? So here's the key takeaway. And if there's one thing that you remember from today, it's this. We have to manage inflammation early, because if we don't, it turns into burnt toast. Once that damage is done, it's very hard to reverse. And those manifestations that we see in the mirror, they become more permanent. So preventative measures, just like you'd watch the toaster and the toast in the toaster in the toaster oven to avoid it from burning. As clinicians, as people that are taking care of those patients, those guests that are come in saying, please help me with this, we must be vigilant in recognizing and managing inflammation in our patients. So this means addressing inflammatory pathways with targeted treatments, educating patients, and that's why we're all here today, right, to learn about it. So educating patients on effective skincare routines and picking good products, and encouraging lifestyle changes that help reduce those chronic inflammation triggers. So now that we've learned about how inflammation is, like how it works, it's like that slow burning, smoldering fire or that piece of toast that's been left in too long. So what happens when the damage from chronic inflammation becomes visible? So let's move to the analogies. To a real life example. This is a patient that was suffering from inflammatory skin. Her inflamed red skin, you can see it's a clear example of what happens when inflammation goes untreated. It's no longer beneath the surface. We can see it. So all we know is that inflammation doesn't always, it doesn't always show itself this dramatically, right? This is only after it's been working so long. So unfortunately, inflammation, it can start long before it starts to appear on the surface of the skin. And it sometimes can kind of come out of nowhere, and it finally it emerges externally. And that can happen on the inside of our body. The cortisol levels, the stress hormones, the cell damage, all of that's kind of happening with this low level inflammation. And then it starts to rear its ugly head. We see the joint pain, we see all of those things, right? Well, on the skin, the inflammation, it's building up and that fire is being fed. And we see it as eczema, acne, melasma, rosacea. We see it in all of these inflammatory skin issues that we see, but we also see it in redness, puffiness, dry skin, fine lines and wrinkles. So we've learned about how inflammation can silently damage beneath the surface. And we just saw an example of how inflammation can manifest visibly on the skin. So now let's talk about what's actually happening when inflammation takes hold. And to understand this, I want to kind of break it down for you a little bit. And when I was tasked with creating an inflammation training, my VP of sales, Joanne, said, I need you to explain it like you're explaining it to my daughter, who's 7. So that is the genesis of what you see on your screen here, which is the pro-inflammatory cytokine and the anti-inflammatory cytokine characters. So at the core of this inflammatory response are little messengers that we call cytokines. Cytokines, you may have heard the word before, but never really asked yourself, what exactly are they? So cytokines are your body's messengers that control the inflammation response. So think of your body like a big city, and the cytokines are like the messengers in the city, and they're constantly zipping around delivering messages. But when there's a problem, these pro-inflammatory cytokines, the ones on your left, they trigger the alarm for the firefighters or the emergency response. And they send the message, rush to the scene. You need to tackle this issue, whether it's injury, allergens, infections, toxins. We need you to go fix that issue. So once the crisis is handled, the anti-inflammatory cytokines, the little happy guys on the right, they send in the peacekeepers and they say, firefighters, we got this. We're gonna step in here and we're gonna calm things down and we're gonna restore the balance. You're gonna hear me say balance a lot today. So they basically send all the firefighters home with their hose, not running, and they say, we got this, we're going to clean up the mess. Now, what happens when these messengers are not working in harmony? So here's what can go wrong. When we continue to expose ourselves to inflammatory triggers like UV radiation, heat, poor nutrition, stress, alcohol, smoking, chronic inflammation can set in. And that's like, it's kind of like sending out that alarm message and sending it out for too many firefighters and too much response. So even when there's no real emergency, the body keeps messaging for help, saying, fix the problem, fix the problem. And it ends up causing that more damage in the long run. So remember that fire hose that we talked about that was left on and causing more damage, or the toaster that kept toasting? So basically, the peacekeepers can't get control of the situation. They're just like, I'm out. I got nothing, because the pro-inflammatory cytokines it's chaos. So this imbalance is what drives chronic conditions. So let me use one more analogy. I know I said earlier that I think that was my last, but I'm going to give you one more. And this is a simple one. And this is the way I like to describe it to people that maybe aren't clinicians and don't understand the inflammatory process. Imagine that a pro-inflammatory cytokine is like a traffic light stuck on green. Imagine what happens when the green lights are constantly telling the body to ramp up inflammation, even when it's no longer necessary. So like the messengers are screaming, go, go, go. And these green lights are staying on too long. What do you think happens? Well, the inflammation doesn't slow down and it stays around. So when the balance between the pro-inflammatory and the anti-inflammatory cytokines is off, it's like a city where the traffic lights are all green at once and there's total chaos. So nothing moves smoothly and there's a constant flow that causes damage. So what does that translate to in your skin? Well, this imbalance leads to inflammation, and it's a slow, steady breakdown of essential skin structures. And when we see that breakdown, what do we see? We see collagen and elastic breakdown. So those MMPs, so our matrix metalloproteinases, so our body thrives on balance, right? And we need to achieve homeostasis in so many different facets of our body in order to be healthy. So when something is out of balance, it sets off chain reactions, leading to further imbalances. And so MMPs, they regulate the pro-inflammatory cytokines, and in control amounts, they can be very beneficial. However, like anything else, when they're not controlled or when there's an imbalance, chronic inflammation and exposure to those triggers that we talked about, the UV radiation, MMPs can become overactive. And when this happens, they start breaking down collagen and elastin. And as we know, collagen and elastin are those proteins that help our skin firmness, our plumpness, our youthful appearance. And so as these proteins degrade, the skin loses its structure and it leads to fine lines, wrinkles, sagging. Over time, the accelerated breakdown of collagen contributes to visible signs of aging. Compromised skin barrier. So inflammation disrupts the skin barrier by weakening the connections between the cells. This results in tool or transepidermal water loss, meaning your skin can't retain the moisture that it needs to effectively. So that means your skin's dehydrated. You become more vulnerable to environmental stressors or irritants, which can lead to sensitivity, dryness, flakiness, and then hyperpigmentation and redness. Prolonged inflammation stimulates the melanocyte, which releases melanin, and then that leads to hyperpigmentation. In addition, continued stimulation of the blood vessels or dilation of the blood vessels can actually lead to leaky blood vessels, and it can cause persistent redness. So, and especially people with or patients that have conditions like rosacea, those can become more severe. That appearance can become more severe. Delayed healing. Chronic inflammation impairs our ability to heal itself. And so that means that any damage, whether it's from acne, sun exposure, a cut, that's going to take longer to heal. So in some cases, the inflammation can lead to brown spots just based on that alone, based on the fact that our skin is not healing the way that it normally should. And then we've got these dark marks on the surface of the skin that are there for a longer amount of time. pH imbalance and acid mantle disruption. So our skin's acid mantle is this thin protective layer on the surface of the skin. And if it's disrupted, as it can be with inflammation, it's going to alter the natural pH of our skin. And we know that when we're too alkaline or we're too acidic, when that happens, the skin can produce more oil, or it can as it's attempting to rebalance, it can kind of start becoming more oily and develop breakouts. And on the flip side, if the skin becomes on the other side of the spectrum, it can become overly dry, and when our skin is dry, it's more prone to sensitivity and irritation. And again, it's like a cascade: more sensitive, more irritated, you get a scratch, you get PIH. So it's all connected. And then lastly, those pesky free radicals. So inflammation increases oxidative stress in the skin. The free radicals are like unstable molecules. And these unstable molecules can cause damage to the skin. They will go after the skin's lipid barrier. They can cause cellular mutations. They can contribute to premature aging. So all of these reasons is why addressing inflammation early is so key to maintaining youthful, healthy skin. Now, we've seen what happens when inflammation runs wild. Let's look at what happens when it's balanced. Think of the analogy with the traffic lights, right? So our pro-inflammatory cytokines, the green lights, and the anti-inflammatory cytokines, the red lights, they work together and they keep things flowing smoothly. The green lights will jump into action when they need to fight damage or injury or insult. And the red lights, they calm things down, they restore balance before too much harm is done. So we have a nice, balanced homeostasis. So when that balance is just right, the skin remains healthy. It's resilient, it's radiant, it's glowing, it's hydrated. Collagen and elastin are preserved, the skin barrier stays strong, there's no excess oil or dryness, and you get that natural glow because the inflammation is under control. Now, the key takeaway here is that balance is the secret to healthy, youthful skin. And by keeping the traffic lights in sync, our cytokines, we are preventing inflammation from causing long-term damage. This harmony allows the skin to repair itself, to stay firm and hydrated and radiant. So science has shown that inflammation is a major driver of skin aging, and this is supported by extensive research. We understand that inflammation disrupts the skin's natural balance, just like we just learned about on the previous slide. It can accelerate the aging process, again, in those visible things that we see, and it can lead to long-term damage. This is exactly what we've been discussing. So we understand what causes the inflammation. We know that chronic low-grade inflammation is harmful. So now let's talk about the good news. And there is some good news. The good news is we have some really powerful tools to combat inflammation in our bodies and in our skin. So let's take a look at some of those tools. To effectively manage inflammation, we need to focus on a few key areas. First, diet. While processed foods, sugars, saturated fats, we all know those are bad for us, but they can worsen the inflammatory response in our body, which can exhibit its, manifestations all over our body. So that balanced diet rich in antioxidants, vitamins, very colorful foods. Those colorful foods are usually the ones that are rich in all of these omega-3 fatty acids. So in my research, I learned that the Mediterranean diet is one of the leading anti-inflammatory diets out there. Stress is another major factor, right? So we live in a stressful world, and it triggers hormones those hormones fuel inflammation. And we hear a lot about cortisol. Cortisol can fuel inflammation. So managing stress through meditation, yoga, vagus nerve stimulating activities. Fun fact: cold on the face stimulates the vagus nerve. Even regular exercise can actually prevent these gene mutations that we talk about, the damage to the cells. And quality sleep, those are all crucial things for keeping inflammation in check. So it's very interesting that exercise actually regulates the immune system, and it lowers, the science shows that exercise lowers pro-inflammatory cytokines. I find this stuff fascinating. But then lastly, one of the most powerful tools that we have is cold therapy. It's safe, it's effective, there's no downtime, and it promotes overall wellness, full body wellness actually, and it treats inflammatory skin conditions. Cold therapy has been shown to significantly reduce inflammation, and it downregulates pro-inflammatory cytokines. It does this, it also constricts blood vessels, it reduces swelling, it calms irritated tissues, and it also speeds up the skin healing process. But best of all, it slows down the aging process. So whether it's used in professional treatments like things like glacial skin treatments or daily practices like cold plunges, cold is a proven method to improve skin health, but also full body wellness. And it is proven to show long-term effects on chronic inflammation. Now, I want to show you something really fascinating. I find this very cool. I'm going to start this video. So this is actually a treatment. What you're seeing here is IR camera footage of how our contact cooling technology works. Notice how the applicator maintains consistent contact with the skin, and it delivers cooling not just to the surface, but the deep layers of the skin. And this is what really makes our approach unique. So we're not just treating the outside, we're resetting the skin from within. So as the cooling is applied, you can see that thermal response in real time. And even after the applicator is removed, the tissue remains cold for a significant period. This is because cooling penetrates into those deeper layers. So it really kind of resides, that cold resides in the tissue, and it really targets inflammation at its core. It's really more than just a surface level treatment. It's deeper, more effective approach to calming inflammation and promoting long-term skin health. So let's summarize the incredible benefits of cold therapy as a treatment. So first, pain relief. Cold therapy works by slowing nerve conduction, which helps to reduce discomfort and pain. So it's fast, it's effective, especially in inflamed areas. Next, we have improved healing. So cold therapy extracts heat from the tissue, and that enhances the repair process and promotes faster recovery. By cooling the skin and deeper tissues, it really reduces adverse effects like swelling and irritation, allowing for a kind of a more efficient healing process. And then lastly, cold therapy is it's powerful in reducing the inflammatory response. It constricts blood vessels, which slows those leaky vessels that can cause the redness. It slows the influx of immune cells, and it reduces fluid leakage into tissue, all of which limit pro-inflammatory cytokines. So this means less inflammation, healthier, more balanced environment for the skin to thrive. So enter Stage Right, the Glacial Skin device. It brings everything that we just discussed to life. This is where science truly meets innovation. Glacial Skin delivers precise, controlled cooling to the skin. It works deep to calm the skin, to treat the signs of aging that are caused by inflammation right at its source. So with each treatment, it's not just soothing the surface, but it's really creating a balanced, healthier environment within the skin. So by downregulating that inflammation, that chronic fire, that simmering fire with cold, we now know exactly what happens under the surface. And we're essentially promoting a healthier environment to help reduce discomfort, to help downregulate inflammation, to help faster healing, to prevent all of those things we see in the mirror. We're keeping our skin healthy, balanced, more resilient, more hydrated, radiant, and youthful. So this isn't just cooling, it's a targeted, powerful way to unlock the skin's full potential with every treatment. So in closing, I want to remember where we began this conversation and ask you to think about what better skin from within really means, and ask yourself if you question why that is our slogan here at Glacial Skin by R2. We've explored how cold therapy, or what we call cryomodulation, cryo meaning cold, modulation meaning change. So it literally means changing with cold, how cryomodulation can impact the skin by targeting inflammation, regulating cytokines. And so I want to ask you, has your answer to that question that I asked you at the very beginning changed? So today we learned that treating inflammation with cold therapy is about much more than just reducing puffiness. It's about creating healthier, more balanced environment on the skin, and it's protecting us from the inside out, and ultimately giving your patients and us, ourselves, radiant, more youthful skin. So let's rethink about, I guess, how we approach skin aging. And so I challenge you to think about skin aging as inflammaging, and to address inflammaging early. We can all help our patients, ourselves, maintain healthier, more youthful skin. So now it is the moment we've all been waiting for, our main guest, Savanna. So Savanna truly needs no introduction. But her journey is really one worth celebrating. She started her business at the young age of 21, which is so incredibly impressive. Savanna embodies the classic started from the bottom story. She built a reputation working alongside plastic surgeons, med spas, dermatology offices. She really truly hustled her way to success and growing her business entirely on her own. And her drive, as I think a lot of clinicians, but that I see in this space, but her drive comes from a very deeply personal space, having struggled with acne herself and understanding the emotional toll that skin issues can take on someone. Savanna has made it her mission to be knowledgeable, compassionate, a very dedicated esthetician that her clients deserve. So today she's here to share her expertise on how she integrated Glacial Skin devices into her thriving practice. And I believe she is here with us. So welcome, Savanna.
Hi guys, how's everyone today? Well, I can't see everyone's faces, but I hope everyone's having an amazing day and learning all things Glacial Skin. I'm super excited to be here. I've had my device, oh my gosh, time is so hard for me. I think it's been over 6 months now. It definitely has. But it's been a big game changer in my practice, and truly something that I have running 24/7 and is always being added on, even if it's not scheduled to be added on. So I'm really excited to tell you guys all about it and help you with some tips and tricks that made it super successful in my practice. Okay, let me see how I can get this to click.
There is a delay, Savanna, just so you know.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I like to call this a cold plunge for your face because it truly is. It's one of those feel good treatments that actually gives you results. So for me, I started out my practice very early on just doing facials, which were great and amazing, but I really wanted to start getting more into the medical space and start doing more lasers and microneedling and things like that, which get better results and quicker results for my clients. And when I started doing that for the past 5 years, my clients, of course, are happy and love the results they're getting, but they're kind of missing that like feel good part of a treatment. And so when I heard about the glacial, that's really what piqued my interest. I've always loved talking about inflammation. It's been something that I have talked about a lot on my platform. And I love that this company is making such a big mission to bring awareness to skin inflammation because it truly is the key factor of every single thing that we're doing, whether we're treating melasma, rosacea, eczema, psoriasis, I mean, any kind of pigment, acne, you name it, aging, everything stems from inflammation. So if you're doing all these services and products, but you're not treating the root cause, which is inflammation, you're not going to get those results. So that's my little piece on inflammation, which I'll get a ton more in today. But the biggest thing was, not only the inflammation side that really drew my attention to Glacial, but it feels so good. And that's something that we were really missing in my practice. Like I was saying, we were doing a lot of lasers, a lot of microneedling, a lot of chemical peels, but this, you're getting those results. And then it also feels like they're doing a fluffy treatment, which is one of my favorite things about it, is it's a fluffy feeling with results. So it's my most requested treatment right now. I mean, people come in and they're like, I don't want a microneedle. I want to do the glacial. And I'm like, let's do both. We're going to microneedle and then do the glide on top so you can get the best of both worlds. So very versatile, very easy to use on literally anyone that comes into your practice. And I always say, if you're someone that does, walk-in appointments, or, if they're just booking online, this is such a great treatment to start everyone with, because every single person is a candidate for the glacial. There's not going to be anyone that you're going to have to turn away unless it has to do with like switching some additives out in the mask portion or peel portion for pregnancy and such. Okay, so what is it? Because every degree matters, Glacial Skin is super customizable, like I was saying. So you can change things out in the gloss protocol, which is that 30-minute treatment. So if you are using a different product line, you can incorporate that in. I personally have just really been sticking with the Glacial products because I personally love them. And we're getting such good results with it. And I feel like they work perfectly. But I love that it is customizable. So you can really put your signature flair on it and be different and stand out. Everyone can have this device, but it's how you customize it in the treatment room that can truly make it your own and make it your signature and make it special. So I highly recommend, once you get comfortable with doing the Glacial protocol and using the Glacial branded products, to start venturing out on, your coworkers or your employees, mom and dad, your boyfriend, husband, whoever, to start playing with some cool combinations so you can really get that custom treatment. But again, you're still going to get those amazing results just using the Glacial products, which is what I do. So, goes beyond just treating inflammation, guys. Like I said, it's going to help with aging. It's going to help with rosacea. And one of the things which I heard you towards the tail end say is it's not just going to help with puffiness, but I would say that's probably like top 5 of my clients' favorite things. Like if they're having a lot of salt in their diet, they're coming in hungover, if they are drinking a lot, or whatever it may be. I mean, there's so many factors that cause us to retain water in the face. This sculpts them so well, so good to do before a wedding, an event, if they have something special going on. I mean, it's truly amazing, and you can see a difference. I've had clients come in with their Visia pictures and they are so swollen and puffy. And before even looking at their redness reducing or their acne inflammation going down, they're like, I look so snatched. So it's really amazing for that too, and people truly love it. So it's a one of a kind experience. I've never felt anything like this before. It's definitely one of those treatments that clients are like, okay, yeah, I want this every single day. They don't want it to end. They are excited for their next treatment. And I said, I've done so many different services. I've done so many different devices, so many different treatments. And I cannot tell you enough how this has truly been a fan fave in our clinic. Like, people are just so excited. They're like, can I come twice a week? And we're like, I wish I had time for that. One of the reasons I'm hiring more estheticians, and thankful that we have 2 devices in my office so that we can keep that machine on all day for everyone. So other than it just feeling amazing, like we talked about, it's going to help reduce that inflammation, which truly is the key to everything we're trying to treat, you guys. And I love that you can add this to any service you're doing. So I don't know how much she dove into the 2 different devices, but I have both. I have the FX and the RX. So the FX is going to be your spa grade. Anyone can have that and have it in their clinic. And that's going to be with the Glacial Gloss and Glide. So the gloss is that full 30-minute treatment where you're going to have the mask, you're going to have the peel, which isn't a peel, it's an enzyme, very light alpha hydroxy acid treatment peel, but just loosening those dead skin cells to get you glowy and looking good. And then that physical exfoliation, moisturizer, and of course, the cold cryomodulation. And then you have the Glide, which is the 10-minute treatment, and that's just cold therapy. You can use any serum you want to use. I love using a biocellulose mask. It feels amazing. Clients absolutely love it. And the Glide is what I do, I'd probably say 60% of the time, and then the other 40% would be the gloss. And the reason being is I'm doing a lot of laser treatments. I'm doing a lot of microneedling, and this is so good to tap on right after you do those treatments to help reduce downtime, to help reduce redness, and of course, to help with all of the other skin benefits that Glacial is going to provide: aging, rosacea, acne, pigment, you name it. So I love that I can do this right after microneedling. I can do it right after I do an ablative laser or any kind of resurfacing laser, after a chemical peel, after a dermaplane, after literally anything and everything. And it's not only going to optimize their results, but it's going to give that skin a better environment for healing too. And that's so important when it comes to slowing down or speeding up that downtime and minimizing as much downtime that they have, because that's my client's biggest complaint. Everyone's on social media these days. Everyone has kids in sports. Everyone has an event to go to every weekend. So a big issue I was also having in my clinic was people wanting to cancel their microneedling or cancel their laser treatment or cancel their chemical peel or whatever it was because they didn't want the downtime. Being able to optimize that for them and cut that downtime even more in half, like I would say to nothing. I mean, it truly makes such a big difference with client compliance and keeping them on their treatment schedule. And that's super important when we're trying to correct, texture, acne, aging, whatever it is. Like they have to be coming in every 4 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever treatment plan you have them on. And if they're like, okay, I want to just switch it to something else, we're not going to be getting those results. So being able to offer this to tap this right on top to still get the treatment and cut that downtime in half is a game changer. So very customizable, which is very important to me. I am customizing everything in clinic. I can do this, like I said, with any service. You can add in your favorite mask, your favorite serums, whatever you want to do. So it is very brand friendly. And immediately, you guys, you're going to get that result. So, something I've talked about on my social media, if you guys follow me, is the hardest part, I think, of our jobs is that we are really truly not an instant gratification service. It's not like, you go in and your nails look horrible and you walk out and you have a fresh set of nails, or you go in and your hair looks perfect. A lot of corrective skin things can look worse before they get better, especially with acne, aging, things of that sort. So, being able to have a service where they walk out feeling confident, feeling good about themselves is, again, I say game changer a lot because it truly is a game changer. It makes people feel more confident, more comfortable in their skin, and it's also giving them those results. I'm very big about not having anything in my practice, whether it's a mask or a serum or a treatment or whatever it is, that doesn't provide results. So being able to get those results and make someone feel good day of is just a feeling that you can't replace. Okay, so our two devices. So I carry both in my clinic. The biggest difference is the freeze modality, which I love for age spots and pigmentation. It's so good for helping get rid of that. And I have some amazing before and afters on my Instagram from that as well. So only difference is with the RX, you're going to have that freezing modality to get rid of stubborn skin lesions. And you can do the gloss and the glide on the RX as well. So you're not missing out on any of those. And this is going to be an FDA cleared class 2 medical device. So you have to have a medical director or whatever it is in your state. I know every state can be different. Here in Texas, having a medical director, you're safe and able to use this device. So just talk with your glacial rep and get more information about what state you're in to see if you are eligible for that RX device. But I love having both in my clinic. Like I said, I can move them around, and especially with hiring and expanding, super important to me to not have someone steal my device if I need it. So having to just really helps us out with that. And they're also, I have to say, guys, very easy to move. I used to work with some very heavy, huge machines that I'd have to push around a giant med spa. This is very easy to move around, very portable. All right, we're getting into customizable treatments. So we have the gloss RX and then the regular gloss, same thing, just the device looks a little bit different. So this is going to help with evening your skin tone, reducing redness, puffiness, and it also has a dermabrasion setting too, which I absolutely love. So it's really great because we're getting both of that physical and chemical exfoliation while delivering that cryomodulation, that cold therapy to the skin to help reduce inflammation simultaneously. And that's state of the art, guys. No one else has that. No one else has technology like that on the market. So you're truly providing something that no one else has. And it is blowing up. Let me tell you, people are asking about it every single day. And it is so great for this time of year as well. It feels so good, but it's not going to be something that gives you a brain freeze or makes you feel uncomfortably cold. I think that would be the number one question I get from other estheticians about it is it uncomfortable? It is the best feeling, you guys. Like, it feels like It's so good. I can't say what I want to say, but if you've been on my social media, you know what I'm going to say. It feels so good. It is truly one of those feelings that you don't want to stop. So, not uncomfortable. If you're just moving it around and just talking to your client, making sure that they're comfortable, you're going to be fine. I've done probably over 400 of these now, and I've never had a client say that doesn't feel comfortable or I have a brain freeze. So, you don't have to worry about any of that. Okay, and it also helps reduce pain and swelling. So one thing that I love about it, if you guys know, I actually herniated a disc in my shoulder and I've been using the glacial on it to help reduce inflammation. And that is huge for me too, that it can treat multiple things and not just facial stuff. So great too for psoriasis. I've had a lot of clients that struggle with psoriasis and this has helped them a ton. So very versatile, very easy for you to sell to your clients because it does so many different things. Also, sunburns, you guys tell your clients if they come in, and that's the other thing is usually when a client comes in and they have a sunburn, what do? We turn them away. We can't do anything. Now we have something that they can do so that they don't leave empty handed and we're actually providing benefits for them and helping heal that skin super fast. And Glacial Freeze. So this is the one that removes benign lesions through cold precision technology. And this also helps impair melanin transfer so that we have clear, beautiful skin. I absolutely love this. I have a lot of clients that have stubborn pigment on their skin or age spots. This is super quick and easy, really good return on your investment. I mean, it takes me 5 minutes to do, I'd say 3 or 4 lesions. And that right there, let's say I charge 50 per lesion. I'm so bad at math. I'm a skincare girly. 50 plus 50 is 100, $200 in 5 minutes. There we go. That was easy math too. That's embarrassing. My brain's slow today though. Okay, so why did we launch it? I already basically told you everything of why, but to reiterate, I mean, it's so important to me to have something for everybody and that is safe for everyone. And that's what the Glacial is. Anyone that walks in off the street, you can truly treat. And it is such a good way to bring that inflammation down so that we're getting better results with the treatments we already have. So that's one thing I get asked is, okay, is this going to replace a treatment I have? It could for sure, but really, I think it just enhances your treatment portfolio. It's going to help add more benefits for those clients so that they're getting better results. So even if they're getting microneedling, if they're doing the glacial with microneedling and doing the glide after, their results are going to be 10 times better. When the skin is in a healthy state, it's going to heal better, it's going to respond faster, it's going to get those results quicker. So less downtime, the skin's more balanced, the skin's more ready to handle trauma in the skin, etc. So we're really enhancing those results and also getting amazing results on its own. So that's the biggest thing for me is with other things, does absolutely beautiful, perfect, amazing, but she stands her own. She holds her own ground. She is great on her own as well. And we love an independent girly, okay? She doesn't need anyone else, but you know, she could be a power dynamic duo if she wanted to be. And it truly, you guys, like I said, has been running every single day in my clinic. People are wanting to come every day for it. I've even caught my staff members, my girls, sometimes when they're doing something with it, and I'm like, "What are y'all doing?" And they're like, "Oh, nothing." But truly one of those that people are going to keep asking for. So this is my beautiful mommy. And we're gonna, I think this will play a video if I click this button. Let's see. Hang on. Maybe. Okay, there we go. So here I am doing step 1. This is the AHA BHA peel. Again, you can customize this and swap it out if your client is pregnant and they can't do a BHA. And then I love this. I call it kombucha for your face. So that is the toning mist. And then you do physical exfoliation on top. I'm going to pause this real quick. So with this step, if you have someone with very inflamed acne, or maybe they have an open wound or something going on with their skin, you can totally switch this out and just do the smooth cryomodulation tip instead. So like I said, very customizable. I would say pretty much every treatment I do with the glacial gloss is different and customized for that client. And then they also have a tip that's less aggressive as well. So you can really have 3 alternatives there: the regular, less aggressive, or just completely go away with the physical exfoliation step and just do cryomodulation. You can add another mask in. I mean, you can do anything, a serum, biocellulose mask, whatever you want to do if your client is not good for that microdermabrasion step. And it feels good. It feels like a cat licking your face. Okay, and then we have the hydrating mask. I like to call this icing for your face. This is probably everyone's favorite step. It is so cooling. It feels amazing. Your skin glows so good after this mask too. But again, if you don't love the mask, you can switch it out to a different brand or company that you like working with and really customize it to make it your own. I love the mask. I love every product that they have, so I typically am keeping it the same. Okay, and then our final step is going to be the moisturizer, which smells so amazing. And I like to call this the moisture magnet for your face. It feels so good, guys. And I love afterwards that they just see this instant glow. That's the biggest thing for me, is being able to see that instant result. Because again, a lot of things I'm doing in clinic, we're causing a lot of redness, peeling. They kind of leave looking scary. My son's always terrified when he's at the office and sees a client walk out of the door, but not with the glacial. He actually is like, oh, there's a normal human in my mom's office today. So I love that aspect of it as well. And again, you're not compromising those results. You're still getting a medical grade, very corrective treatment. You just happen to look slay after. So it's a win-win-win. All right, what does inflammation look like? Every single person watching this webinar, you have inflammation. I hate to break it to you. Everyone that walks into your office is dealing with skin inflammation. So this device is for everyone. Redness, dullness, fine lines and wrinkles, dryness, skin laxity, uneven pigmentation. And we can even go further: acne, rosacea, psoriasis, eczema, dermatitis. I mean, everyone is dealing with some sort of inflammation, and this is going to address that and feel amazing while you do it. So, what causes skin inflammation? Breathing. The moment that we come out of our moms, we're inflamed. But UV, energy, pollution, surgery, aesthetic treatment, stress. How many of us are stressed? Me. Stressed but well dressed all day, every day. Lack of sleep, genetics, aging, hormones, and nutrition. So, pretty much everything. It's an umbrella. And here are some amazing results, guys. I mean, look at that. This is with the freeze and the gloss. You can see her pigmented lesion going away. You can see her skin. Let me see if I can move myself so I can see this last photo. Okay, for me, what I noticed first, besides that spot going away, was her forehead. You guys, look at her forehead. Look at those fine lines and wrinkles, and she didn't even do microneedling. That to me is so crazy. I mean, that just shows you real results. It's so beautiful. I love this photo. And immediately too, after that first treatment, you can also see her forehead and just that pigmentation lightening. She looks so much more alive and vibrant 2 days post-treatment. And then being able to see those spots fall off her face, it's just so satisfying, especially for those clients that have dealt with it for a very long time. It's really, really rewarding to be able to get that off their skin. And look at that. I told you, contoured and snatched, you guys. I mean, I know it's not like the number one thing, but I think it's so cool that you can physically see how much more contoured her face looks, and just brighter and healthier in general. She looks younger too. I mean, over here, she's giving like 32, 33. And then I think she looks like a good 28, 29 in the second photo. So aging in reverse. We love to see it. And here's another one. Look at that reduction in redness. And you guys, people that struggle with chronic redness and inflammation in the skin, it is such a frustrating thing for them to deal with. I was someone that was very inflamed. I would always have, they call it an angel's kiss. Well, that's what my mom told me, or they can call it a stork bite, but I'd have it in the middle of my forehead. And anytime I got upset or anxious or embarrassed, it'd flare up. And then everyone would know that I was feeling those emotions. And people that struggle with redness in their skin, it's not just redness, it's people knowing your emotions, and it's not fun when you kinda, don't want people to know how you're feeling in the moment. So being able to provide long-term correction with redness in the skin is a game changer, and I wish that I had this when I was in high school, because would have saved me a lot of embarrassing conversations. And here we go. Here's another one. Look at her forehead too. The reduction in pigment is huge here, just evening all over her skin tone. She looks more fresh, more alive, more bright, less tired, less sluggish. And here are some of my personal photos from my clients. So first one, we have 3 weeks apart from her age spot that we were diminishing with the glacial freeze. Completely gone now. I'm gonna have to send them an updated picture for our next webinar so they can see how amazing it looks. And then our next photo here is after 1 microneedling with the glacial glide, and this is 4 weeks apart. And I had done multiple microneedling sessions on her. We never got correction with redness like we did with the glacial after one treatment. And she is my ride or die glacial girly. She loves it. She comes in twice a month for it. And I mean, she looks so good. So I'm just so happy that we were able to provide some life-changing results for her and help tackle that stubborn redness. Okay, I think we're going to do some questions now. This is my favorite portion because I am an open book and I don't gatekeep. So don't be scared to ask me anything and everything.
Thank you, Savannah. That was wonderful, as always.
I
So as we transition to the Q&A, please feel free to type any questions you have in the chat box. We've already gotten a ton for you. So while we wait for all of those questions to come in, I do want to share something really exciting with you. And if we could go to the next slide. So our podcast, The Glam Report, so exciting. It's filled with insights on skincare, latest industry trends, expert interviews. It's all curated to help you stay ahead of the world of what's going on in the world of aesthetics. So you can scan this QR code on the screen, subscribe, and listen anytime. I'm sure you'll find it really informative and inspiring. We're going to talk about things like inflammation and everything that Savannah just talked about. And it actually launches today. And
Yay!
today's first interviews is with Tim Holt, the glacial guy, our fearless leader. So on to the questions. We have so many. Before we forget, I think we need to review very quickly our promo for today, but let me start with a question. So Savannah, where do I start? There's so many good ones. So we had a solo SD first time, like starting her business type in, is the investment worth it? Is the investment worth it? It's kind of a two-part question. Is the investment worth it? And would this be a good first device in a practice if you don't have any other technology?
Absolutely, because again, every single person is a candidate. With microneedling and lasers, your client pool is a lot smaller. But with this, I mean, like I said, anyone can walk off the street, even a sunburned person can come into your office and you're able to treat them same day. So yes, it is absolutely worth the investment. And I'm confident that you'll pay this off very quickly and it's going to get those clients to return, especially since not everyone has this device right now too. Being one of the first to get it in your area is going to be a huge pull to draw in clients as a solo esthetician and keep them coming back for more and seeing those results. So not only, like I said, it feels amazing, but you're getting results. And that's what's so important to me is to have those two.
Wonderful. How is this different than hydrofacial?
Very different technology. So hydrofacial doesn't have any of the cooling aspect. It's not going to lower inflammation, just complete different technology. I personally love the glacial more, and that's why I'm reaching for constantly. And I may say I think glacial is going to be on top soon when it comes to that realm of devices.
Do you treat patients at like a one and done, or do you need a series of treatments to achieve results?
You see great results after one, but again, one is a treat, a series is a treatment. So if you want that long-lasting result and to keep managing inflammation, you're going to have to keep them coming in for that treatment. And they're going to want to keep coming in. It's great as a monthly treatment to maintain and help tackle any external factors or internal factors of inflammation.
I love that, Savannah. I might steal that from you.
Yeah,
More than one is a treatment. I love that.
thank you.
Some of the clinicians on the line have said that they have heard after laser and microneedling that you want inflammation in order to achieve results. Can you do this after microneedling?
Absolutely. I think that's an old school way of thinking. A lot of studies have come out recently too with microneedling that you don't need that much bleeding or you don't even have to go as deep as we thought we did in the past. So every day, new science, new technology is coming forward. You do not have to put your skin in a state of distress to get results. I think we're way beyond that now, and we're all learning that barrier health and just skin barrier in general truly is the most important thing when it comes to keeping your skin looking fresh, young, and youthful and giving us what we need. So And no, you do not need inflammation to get results. You're still going to get those results, and cutting down that inflammation is going to yield better, faster, quicker results and less downtime, and more likely for your clients to want to book that ablative laser or that microneedling treatment again. And I know I said this like 5 times, but guys, that's really one of my favorite things about this device is it just keeps people compliant when we're trying to do a series of treatments. Like, trust me, I get it. I've been needing a chemical peel for like the last year, but I've had something going on every week. I sound like my clients. I'm like, I just can't do it. I have stuff going on. I have to look good. But it gets us off of our routine and our schedule. And when we're trying to tackle these skin concerns, whether it's with Glacial alone or doing an ablative laser with the Glide, people have to be consistent. They need to be on this treatment regimen. And if they're not, and they don't want to do it because they don't want redness or they don't want downtime, they're not going to get those results. So being able to say, okay, you know what? You have your son's soccer game tomorrow or microneedling today, Glacial Glide on top, you're going to look like nothing happened. A little tinted sunscreen, they're going to be completely fine. None of the moms are going to judge them and ask them what they did last night. So it's very important to me to keep people compliant, and Glacial keeps my clients extremely compliant.
Yeah, that is a great answer. I love how you focus on the fact that when once you're creating the injury, you're actually helping to heal and you're helping to, and we talked about that in the first portion of this, like anything within balance is going to help keep that skin barrier intact and help the healing process and decrease the chance of adverse events. I like to think of it, me and my analogies, I like to think of it like if you're on the soccer field or wherever playing sports and you sprain your ankle and then you put cold on the ankle, you are not reversing the ankle injury. You're not compromising that, but you are treating the symptoms of that injury. So after laser, after microneedling, you're actually helping to decrease the amounts of side effects so that you can heal properly, faster, and without less potential for adverse event.
I love that. And I also love pre-treating with it too, because a lot of people that are prone to pigmentation, darker skin types, and Fitzpatrick's, it's important to get that inflammation down. So when we are doing a laser or anything like that, that can induce an inflammatory response and trigger those melanocytes and the pigment in the skin, this is going to be like insurance for that. It's going to make sure that their skin's not going to be overreactive, that there is not going to be an adverse reaction. So I always am now pre-treating ever since I got the Glacial. Anytime I'm doing a big peel, any kind of laser, microneedling, I'm always pre-treating my clients with the Glacial because the skin heals, acts better, and less contraindications, safer for me and my clients when that inflammation is at a low.
100%. I love that mindset. So everybody in the line, I've gotten a couple of questions about what do you use this in combination with? You said that you use this with other things. What technology and other treatments are your favorites to use Glacial with?
Yeah, I love using it with an erbium laser. I love using it with my 1064 laser. I love using it with microneedling, chemical peels, no downtime peels. So I know a lot of people are using those no downtime peels. It's amazing on top. And those are pretty quick services too. So I like having the Glide on top because I feel like it just adds a little bit more razzle dazzle. It makes them feel like they're getting more done. And it's also helping speed up that healing. And again, helping with aging, pigment, rosacea, acne. I mean, everything. All my acne treatments, I try to incorporate the Glacial Glide if they can add it on financially because the results, I get quicker results with acne now. Like I've not seen clients get clear as fast as they have since I've introduced the Glacial in my practice. So inflammation is a huge factor for acne. So that's been a game changer for us in our practice for sure.
Do you do it before chemical peels?
I
Or
actually been doing it after. Yeah, afterwards.
okay. And then I've had a few people ask in different ways what the difference is between cryoglobes versus just ice versus a treatment like this.
Yeah, so it is not getting nearly as cold. You're not getting that clinical benefit. So it's, I would say, like doing a face mask that has glycolic acid in it at home, like a small percentage of glycolic acid versus going to get like an actual glycolic acid peel at your dermatologist's office or your esthetician's office. So might provide a similar feeling, but completely different results wise. It's not going as deep. You're not getting that reduction in inflammation at a clinical level.
Yeah, I agree with you, Savannah. And to piggyback on that, there's something what we call active cooling versus passive cooling. And when you put something on your like cold, for example, a cryo globe or an ice pack, the point at which you put that onto your face, it immediately starts warming up. which means, and cold, and don't get me wrong, it's fantastic for your skin. So if you have a cryo globe at home, definitely use it. But if you really want to achieve therapeutic results where you're seeing that cellular change and you're down regulating those cytokines that we talked about, and really truly treating your skin, we do active cooling, which is you're remaining at the same temperature. We're extracting heat from the tissue. So really a much more therapeutic type of response.
1000%. And like you said, it's kind of like when you drive your car off the lot, it immediately devalues. That's kind of what I would say cold globe is, because yes, it does provide some cooling, but again, it's not precision cooling. It's not going to stay the same temperature for as long as you need it to get that clinical benefit. And again, with the active cooling, like you're knowing that you're getting that same temperature throughout the entire face through the entire treatment. No, you don't have to worry about it.
Not to mention, you're getting pampered at the same time. And
Yeah.
the response, I don't know if you've had anybody fall asleep on your table, but we certainly have had a lot of people fall asleep on our table when they get this treatment. So you definitely don't do that when you're holding an ice pack to your face. So there is that component too.
Oh yeah.
We have so much response, so many questions. I feel like we should have just done a question and answer session. Okay.
Those are always the best portion.
I know, I agree. Okay, so personally, I found immediately after the glide that my acne redness was a little redder than before the glide. And then 24 hours later, it started quickly reducing. Have you had this happen to you before?
Yes. So anytime you're doing any kind of treatment to correct redness, it's typically going to get a little bit more red before you start to see that reduction. So definitely not like an instant thing. I mean, my clients with rosacea, after we do the glacial, they're glowy, but they're going to be a little bit more red afterwards because of blood circulation. So we are increasing oxygen in the skin as well during this process, anytime we're stimulating the skin. So it is going to bring some more blood flow to that area, but you're going to see that reduction again within that 24 hours. So completely normal, nothing to worry about. Yeah.
Can you do the glide with the biohydra after the bio repeal, or you recommend the serum from Glacial Skin after the bio repeal?
Either one, again, you can really customize it and test it out. I always just recommend testing it on yourself or a friend that won't sue you. Before you do it on a client.
Let's see. Oh, this is shifting gears a little bit away from the clinical. Do you know anything about their consumable program? I've heard they have an unlimited consumable program. Can you tell me about it? I can answer that one. So we do have an unlimited consumable program. Most of our accounts do take advantage of the unlimited consumables. There is a monthly fee, and you get unlimited amounts of your topicals that you need to do the treatment. You get cards, you get all of your tips, and all of the post-sales support is there for you. Let's see.
Amazing.
Oh, what is the freeze component effective for besides brown spots?
Yeah, so you can do lesions as well. I've played around with doing some sebaceous hyperplasias and have gotten really good results with that. Sorry, my dogs are all coming in here now. Yeah, so I've done a lot of different things with it. I've done very small skin tags with it as well. So very versatile. You can treat lots of different things. Yeah, I've seen such good results. I've seen some people as well get results with redness as well with that. So any kind of red marks as well on the skin. But best thing I think personally is those age spots that are so stubborn that even a chemical peel won't lift. This is going to knock it out.
Amazing. Let me get one last scan, Savannah, and we'll call it a wrap, and I'll show everybody what our promo is.
Perfect.
So there are a couple very specific questions that I think the marketing and clinical teams will address to the personal, to people personally. Yeah, I think that about covers it. Oh, wait, we've got one last one that marketing brought in. Can you explain more about the technology? Is cryo and cold, but what else? I'm not sure I understand that one.
Yeah.
Cryo and cold. So cryo is cold, but it's so much more. Let me see if I can address this one. So we've coined the term here, cryoaesthetics. So cold can be used for so many different things, right? And we do, like we said, we ice packs for injuries on sports fields, and we use cryo globes at home to treat inflammation and acne and all of those things. But I think cryo, as it relates to what we're talking about today, is cryoaesthetics, which means we are changing the skin. We are changing it at a cellular level in order to slow down the process of skin aging that's caused by inflammation. We know that cold and continuous precision cooling will downregulate inflammation in the skin. And we also know, talked about a lot of evidence that shows that inflammation in the skin is what's leading to skin aging. So again, why using cold, we are changing skin and we are achieving aesthetic benefits that you can see by using cold.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Glam Report. A big thank you to our guests for sharing their expertise and insights. We hope you found today's episode as inspiring and informative as we did. To our amazing listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and share it with others who are passionate about wellness, skincare, and learning about industry trends and how to be successful in their aesthetic business. Until next time, keep glowing and radiating your best self.